Eve's redemption, the bride of Christ and the feminine aspect of God. Eve's redemption is the ultimate feminine redemption. The redemption of the feminine principle. The redemption of feminine spirit. The redemption of feminine essence, the feminine aspect of God is seeking redemption. In order for this redemption to be successful, we have to go back to the beginning. If we no longer allow enslavement, if we no longer allow racism, if we no longer allow unbalanced feminine and masculine energy, then we shouldn't allow religion to make one woman the enemy. Eve's story is the ultimate unbalanced perspective of feminine and masculine energy. First, we have to revisit the story. The Bible teaches us that Eve committed the ultimate sin. She ate from the tree of knowledge, which ultimately gave her awareness of good and evil. We have to ask ourselves, since we have evolved, what is really a sin? If obtaining knowledge is the ultimate sin, it would mean God wanted Eve to remain ignorant. When Eve ate from the tree of knowledge, she became aware. She realized she was being lied to. Eve was the first woman who used her God-given feminine energy called intuition. When she ate from that tree, she realized she could actually leave Eden. She realized that the God who told her not to eat from that tree wasn't the ultimate supreme God. If you have comprehension skills, you would also understand why she believed she was being lied to. Why would God create animals, both feminine and masculine in nature, to roam the planet, but not humanity? If God created the animals for men to rule, how would they rule in one spot? How could they even witness every animal? Climate controls the placement of most animals. If you're sitting in one spot, in one position forever, you would never witness every single animal. Eve leaving Eden was the wisest thing she could have done at that moment. The men who wrote the Bible and created the idea of how the first human beings were created obviously knew that we would eventually evolve and realize it wasn't the truth. Science explains to us how this universe was created. Science even gives us an idea of who Eve actually was. The Bible doesn't. The Bible's story of Adam and Eve isn't factual. I honestly believe the men who wrote it probably assumed people would remain ignorant through fear. Or maybe they assumed we would gain knowledge and correct their mistakes. Knowledge isn't a sin. Knowledge was never a sin. Knowledge is what separates you from ignorance, and yes, ignorance is the one and only sin God despises. All throughout the Bible, he talks about ignorance, because ignorance keeps us blind, ignorance keeps us dark, ignorance keeps us fearful, and ignorance keeps us from evolving. Ignorance keeps us from experiencing God. Light is knowledge. Dark is ignorance. I'm saying this because people have come up with their own definition of what having darkness means. Having dark energy means being ignorant to obvious truth. It doesn't mean your physical body color is dark. You wouldn't even know who's filled with darkness until they speak with ignorance. People have even went as far as saying black people are from the dark kingdom. They literally call us dark and evil because of our skin color. That is the perfect example of true ignorance. Your skin color will never make you dark, so for people saying the dark part of us is flesh is also a lie, because everything God created is good, flesh included. People act like God hates the color black. He hates ignorance, not the color. People think God is an uncontrollable racist that hates flesh, hates women, and hates knowledge. And apparently has an issue with everything dark. They think darkness is a color, darkness is an energy, it's called ignorance. God never called dark evil, God never labeled the color black as the embodiment of evil, you did. Now back to Eve, there is a saying. What is good will be evil, what is evil will be good. That statement is about the feminine energy. When you also hear someone saying what is first will be last, what is last will be first, it all pertains to Eve's redemption, the feminine redemption. They made Eve evil, and they put Eve last, saying she was created after Adam. Which is a lie. The evil that will be good is the evil energy they placed on Eve. What she did wasn't evil, it was actually wise. With wisdom you'll understand. The last will be first, meaning she actually came before him, that's why she left so quick. She was on her way out when Adam arrived. Lilith left too. Adam was created to make her stay in Eden, but by the time he arrived, she had already decided to leave. Adam left too because if he would have stayed, humanity would have been at stake, and he would have been alone. She helped him make a decision he either wasn't capable of doing out of fear, or wasn't capable of doing because of ignorance. The Gnostic story of the beginning is the absolute truth. The spirit of wisdom first appeared through Eve. Wisdom gave Eve awareness of the truth. Not only that, wisdom was there in the beginning, before the earth was ever created. That feminine energy was around since the beginning of time. You also have to take into consideration that God created animals who both held masculine and feminine energy. That feminine energy has always been around. It was never considered bad. Eve's redemption solely revolves around suppressed feminine energy. It starts with Eve and ends with the bride. Every single living organism that has the ability to produce life is feminine. Feminine energy is creative energy. If God made every animal with a feminine and masculine essence, why would he curse one, a human woman, and not all things with a feminine essence? Why would he curse the only one that's capable of producing life? Knowledge is the biggest threat to the man-made religion because knowledge unveils the truth. Eve never committed a sin, and if that sin came about because of knowledge, it would mean ignorance is the solution. I don't think many people realize the opposite of knowledge is ignorance. It's like they're making God some controlling narcissist that is against evolution. If God created feminine animals and placed them all over the planet to produce and populate, why wouldn't he allow the human female to do the same? Eve's redemption revolves around the feminine redemption. This isn't a feminist thing, this is a spiritual thing. This is an evolutionary thing, this is a good thing. This isn't about making women more important than men, it's about ignorance and knowledge. If you actually took the time and paid attention to the women in the Bible, you would learn why this is necessary. God does have a wife. The thing is, in order for this to become a reality, we have to recognize the importance of acknowledging the truth about women in the Bible. The Holy Spirit is feminine. Wisdom isn't the only feminine energy that's in the Bible. You have wisdom, grace, faith, patience, hope, joy, love. They are all feminine, and they all represent the feminine aspect of God's wife. Together they make her, apart they are pieces of her, like her sisters. I've always imagined God's wife having sisters, not just the ones I've mentioned above. God's wife has sisters. One of her sisters is Mother Nature, the sister of God's wife is Mother Nature, and God's wife has nieces. Their names are Summer, Winter, Spring, and Fall. God's wife's other sisters are the planets, who are feminine in nature, the moon, Venus. It all goes down to the horoscopes, and they also have feminine and masculine qualities. There is duality throughout the universe. Protons, neutrons, light energy, and dark matter. These things exist because the feminine aspect of God and the masculine aspect of God created it. They united and created something different. Something living. Just as a mother giving birth to her kids, God's wife, our spiritual mother, gave birth to the universe and humanity. Now I know many people are going to disagree with me, and that's perfectly fine. In fact, it's expected. People refuse to accept or acknowledge feminine energy. That's because they feel like women are the weaker vessels. We are emotional. We are weaker than men physically, but we are stronger mentally. This is all because of wisdom, who is feminine. Eve understood her feminine energy. Eve used intuition, wisdom, and knowledge. That's why she ate from the tree and not Adam. Because Adam was too afraid. He was terrified, but she wasn't. She took that bite because she knew her life depended on it. If you read the Gnostics' interpretation of the beginning, they make it known that the snake was wisdom. The snake told her she could eat from the tree and she wouldn't die. Now let's stop real quick. The snake literally told Eve the truth. The Bible claimed if she ate from the tree she would die. The snake, who was considered to be the devil, simply told her, "You're not gonna die." That's a lie. When she ate, she didn't die. She realized somebody was lying. My point is, why would God lie and tell Eve that she would die when that was never a part of the plan? Not only did she not die, she realized, if you lied to me about this, then you most definitely are lying about other things. So she had the courage to make that evolutionary step that ultimately birthed humanity. It led to humans living in every habitable place on this planet. Wisdom is the most valuable thing you can receive because it has the potential to literally change everything. I first learned about wisdom many years ago when I asked God who He was. Literally, I wanted to know God for who He was in truth. It took me on a journey I will never forget because it changed my life. I want to include the many books that I read, and I also want to include the order of the books because that also played a role in the way I perceived the truth. Let me say this, the truth is sometimes hard for people to accept because it completely changes everything. It would mean starting over, it would mean putting in the actual work to figure out what's truth and what's a lie. I asked God who He was. He led me to the lost books of Eden, better known as the forgotten books of the Bible. I want to make this clear for the women who believe they are the bride. When I started this quest, I didn't know anything about the bride of Christ. I didn't go into this knowledge believing that I was the bride. I just knew that someone was lying. You can't start with a lie and expect it to magically change and become truth after a certain amount of time. When you build a foundation on truth, knowledge, and wisdom, it won't fail. It will stand firm when faced with anything that could cause harm to its foundation. If the foundation is built on lies, a strong wind will come blow it into pieces. To understand God, you need the ultimate truth. That has to be your solid foundation. Not the half-truth. Not the partial trait. Not someone's perspective of truth. The truth needs no proof, either it is or it isn't. So let's start our foundation off of truth. King Solomon put everything into perspective for me. His wisdom helped birth my wisdom, and I will pay homage to him in everything I do, because he helped me in ways I can't even explain. I made a video about Queen Sheba because she was who Solomon talks about in the Bible. Now it saddens me to say that so many people can't accept her truth only because of her skin color. I've had women tell me in Songs of Songs when it says I'm dark but calmly. They say it means she was calling her soul black. They say she was talking about her dark spirit. Now it literally says the sun made her skin dark. How can the sunlight make someone's soul dark? How could she speak of her dark spirit if she didn't have one? I've told you earlier, ignorance makes you dark. So there are people walking around saying the woman calls herself dark because of her ignorance. She never once called herself ignorant, and when it even mentions her again about her rising up in judgment, she doesn't call herself ignorant. If Jesus spoke of her rising in judgment, that means she was extremely important. It's extremely important for you to know who she is because when she rises you will know the end is near. For those ladies who can't accept this black queen, and who won't acknowledge her, let me tell you, if Solomon wasn't talking about her, then it would mean there is no bride. If you refuse to acknowledge this woman because of her skin, you actually are doing more harm than good. Removing her would remove the feminine aspect. That needs to be known. Regardless of their skin color. Every woman in the Bible had a story that needs to be heard. But the most important story is currently being told. God has a wife, she is his everything. She has been with him since the beginning and she will always be with him. She is his counterpart. When the Bible speaks of wisdom, it says she rejoiced in God's creation. Wisdom was literally with God while he created the universe, rejoicing in his creation. That's why her essence is in everything. Her spirit presence is strong. So strong that the Bible mentions her frequently. Always telling you to seek her, she's more valuable than gold. Wisdom's value came from God. She delights in him, and he lives to make her happy. Jesus Christ is their creation. He was conceived by God's thought and wisdom's spirit. Jesus is a manifestation of their love. not only for Jesus. Their love for Jesus highlights their love for humanity. Let me also say this: God loves us. When I say us, I mean every part of us. I hear so many people saying God hates our flesh. Who said that? If God hates our flesh, why would He allow His only Son to be born of it? God doesn't hate us. If He did, it wouldn't be because of our flesh. A lot of the hatred people claim God has, He doesn't. God isn't hateful, He's not controlling, and He most definitely isn't a jealous God. God's essence is perfect, He lacks nothing. He knows all. That would mean these emotions they claim He has can't truly be possible. So many people are looking for Jesus Christ to come and rescue them and destroy this planet. They will be in for the shock of their lives when they realize He's coming for His bride. Now let's talk about the most talked about subject. The bride of Christ. This might be one of the most controversial topics ever. There are people who believe the church is the bride, some people believe the 144,000 is the bride, and then there are people like me who believe it's one woman. Before I talk about this, I want to first clarify that I'm not making this video because I believe I'm the bride. I'm making this video because I believe there is an actual bride. The people who believe Israel and the Jews are the bride, they believe Song of Solomon is about them. That was my sole purpose for making the Queen of Sheba video. It has been proven that she came to visit Solomon. What makes it true is because how often it's mentioned. If you find multiple books and articles all claiming the same thing, more than likely it's some truth to it. People say the Song of Solomon was about the church. No, it's not. That's why all the women who believe there is a bride should be acknowledging Queen Sheba, because the unbelief of her role led to the church believing it was them. If people simply acknowledged who the Queen of the South really was, it would eliminate the idea of the bride being the church. The number one reason why I believe there is a bride. Because of the wedding feast. How would it possibly be a wedding feast with no groom, or bride, or guest? When Jesus talks about the kingdom of heaven, He uses the wedding feast metaphor, because there is a wedding. This wedding isn't just any wedding, this wedding will bring two different families together, two different energies. When Jesus marries His bride, He's marrying her family also. Those people who are considered guests are the bride's family. She has to invite you to the wedding. She's sending the invitations to her wedding. There are 3 events that will take place. You will see a mother, a bride, and a city. When the Spirit and the bride says come, that will be the start of the wedding feast. This takes place after the marriage. It has to happen afterwards, because the marriage unites the bride and groom, it unites God and His wife, and it unites the spirit and the flesh. It literally unites the entire universe. I also want to emphasize on those people who believe God hates flesh, and those who believe this will only happen in the spiritual world, not the physical world. In order for you to attend this wedding feast, to eat, dance, and rejoice, you would still have to have your fleshly body. How would you eat anything? How would you be able to sit and drink wine? If you were just spirit? I don't think people realize that most of the things they believe will take place can only happen if you still have some part of your flesh. You can't eat, drink, and fellowship as a spirit. If you're all spirit, you wouldn't even have taste buds. You would never even feel hunger. In order for you to experience this feast, you would have to be still in your human body. You should be praying God perfects our flesh, not destroy it. There is a reason why God allowed His Son to be human. This was God's way of testing the waters. Back in the days of Moses, God used many ways to communicate with His people. He literally talked to Moses as a burning bush. Back then, God purposely showed Himself in every way possible. Through people, places, things, God exasperated all possibilities. Until He realized it wasn't enough. People still were ignorant. So He used flesh. Back in the Old Testament, God used weather, people, animals, numbers, the planets. He literally used everything to try and communicate with us. But in the New Testament He didn't. In the New Testament, God used something different. Jesus was the game changer. Think outside the box. Open your mind to the possibility of heaven allowing marriage, heaven allowing animals, heaven being like earth, heaven being something other than a religious institution. 3 things will take place at the end of this age. Women will be redeemed, Jesus will be married, his bride will prepare herself, and because of her preparation God will prepare a city. The city isn't the bride, and the bride isn't the city. They both exist and will present themselves around the same time. When you see the bride, you should be looking for the city. You will know the city because of its brilliance. The city will be prepared like a bride, meaning it will have everything you need to survive and thrive. The comparison of the bride and city is because a prepared bride has everything you need as a woman being presented to her husband. The city will be presented as a bride because it will have everything you need as a human to survive, prepared beforehand. I do believe God will allow the bride to have her family present at the wedding. Maybe her immediate family. Sisters, brothers, mother, etc. That may be why there are times mentioned when they return for certain people on different occasions. Not everyone will be invited to the wedding because most people won't even know it took place. The other half don't believe there will be a wedding or marriage in heaven. The marriage feast is literally a reception, a celebration after a wedding. So the guest will come and enjoy themselves. It will be magical, literally. Abundance of food, drinks, music, and love. Everyone on the same frequency of peace and happiness. The best part of it all is once it's over, the real fun begins. Stay tuned for part 3, we will talk about what takes place after the wedding feast. Hope you enjoyed.